Welcome back to another episode on Journey to Authenticity, the podcast designed to help you become your true authentic self, create a clear vision for life, and ultimately step into a life of transformation. I'm your host, Braiden Belnap. I'm a transformation life coach, entrepreneur, and speaker dedicated to helping you truly transform your life in doing just that, becoming your best self, creating your dream life, and stepping into a life of transformation. But we're halfway through the year this year, 2025. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of you watching this haven't let go of certain things that you promised yourself that you would, whether that was this year, in the past. You've also made promises to yourself of what you would create, whether that's with yourself, with your relationship, or your relationships outside of your marriage, girlfriend, boyfriend, fiance. And you've promised yourself certain things that you would actually go out and accomplish, and you haven't even started. Or you've started, but you haven't been executing it at the level that you know that you need to. That's exactly why I'm bringing my wife yet again, Maeghan Belnap, onto the podcast, so that not only can we break this down on an individual sense, but a marriage sense and a family sense, so that we can truly help you guys drop the dead weight, really realize where you're headed and how to get there, and strategies that you can start to implement today to make sure that happens. That in mind, welcome to the show, Maeghan.
Hey.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
You don't seem like it.
Oh, no. I am
Be a little
ready.
bit more like excited, you know?
Yeah. No, I am ready.
Dill, I just had to check. So we're over halfway through June now.
Yes.
We're at the end, which means we're 7 months done with the year.
Which is crazy. I feel like this year has just like flown by. Yesterday it was January 1st. I swear.
Well, don't be surprised. It's the same way every year.
I know. I just feel like time goes by so quickly.
I would agree with that. Time does go by fast. But, and my but is, when you live intentionally, it does slow down. It always goes fast, but it always gets slowed down when you start to live intentionally. That's why we're here.
Yes, I do agree with that, because you can you can enjoy the moments more because you're more present, because you're not thinking about all these other things going on in your life, because you're sticking to a schedule, you're hitting your goals, that kind of stuff. So you can live more presently because you're living in alignment. So I do agree with that.
Absolutely. So the first thing that I want to touch on, I've coached a couple of individuals this year where the main focus, of course, was transformation. You know, how do I become my best self? How do I create the most optimal relationship? How do I create my dream life? And for a lot of them, and for the average individual looking to transform, they jump straight to adding, not taking away.
Mm-hmm.
And when your life is a pie, yeah, there's 100% of a pie sometimes. Sometimes there's a slice taken out. If you're already eating the entire pie and there's no room for adding any more pie to your plate, adding on just creates more chaos. Transformation is actually a matter of taking away before adding. We have to take away. And it's not to say we can't add it cohesively of taking away, but transformation, I mean, if you're doing all of these like not so great things that are serving you, and then you just add a good thing, it may help a little bit. Like, I'm not going to say like it's way better to be doing something good for yourself than not, even when you're not doing the quote unquote things that serve you. The big but is that imagine if you took away some of the not so great things and then you added the good.
Mm-hmm.
Your transformation starts to pick up so much quicker because you dropped the dead weight. Going on a hike is good, but if you have a backpack full of rocks, it's not to say that the hike's not good, but it's so much more enjoyable when you let that backpack go and you get to enjoy the hike. You're not carrying this extra weight.
Yeah. And add to that, it's really important to live in alignment, set your goals, and be authentic to who you are and what you want in life. Because a lot of the times people, in terms of society, you know, go to college, get a degree, 9 to 5. And that's really hounded into people. And so with entrepreneurship, and especially young entrepreneurs, I feel like it's something that has been more normalized, where in the past, people who were entrepreneurs, it's like, oh, you're going to fail. That's a great dream you have there, bud. And so it's when you can truly be in alignment with yourself and be authentic to yourself and what you do want in life, you can set those goals and you can set everything and actually enjoy life and be happy with that. And so, yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. So for anybody listening right now, I mean, let's just be real and honest. I'm sure there's that one thing or more than one thing that you've promised yourself you would stop doing, whether it was this year, last month, 2 months ago, years ago, and you've just kept going with it.
Yeah.
And the reality is it comes down to three things. Either the one thing that you're holding on to that you've promised yourself you would transform for so long now and haven't is because you've attached it to your identity. If you're addicted to drugs per se, you've attached your identity that you're a druggie. That's just one example of many, but you've made it a part of you. But whatever you are right now, whatever you believe you are, whatever you quote unquote attach to your identity, you will create in life.
Yeah.
The second one is you've made it permanent. You genuinely don't believe that there's any possible way of transforming this. And the third thing is this one thing has filtered into other areas of your life. Since this one area is hard, you've attached it to make other areas of your life hard. And that's why you haven't let it go, is one of those three things. So whatever this thing is, I challenge you to look at that and ask yourself, have I attached to my identity? Do I actually believe that it's even possible to change? Is this a forever thing for me? And three, how have I actually made it? How has it affected the rest of my life? Mm-hmm. You were going to add something.
Oh, I was just going to say, I just wanted to add an example of something that like I've recently gone through. And I've talked about it a little bit in our last podcast about religion, but specifically with myself, like choosing to leave the LDS church and making that switch and that change over to being just like a Christian. That was something that was a part of my identity. It was huge. And then I feel like it's a very good example because it was a part of my identity. My family's LDS. I have a lot of friends who are LDS as well. So it's like, what are people going to think of me if I'm separating myself from this really huge part of my identity? What's going to happen? And so I went through all these different stages of grief of, making that decision and feeling like this is what I need to do to be authentic to myself and to my future family and whatever. And so I went back and forth and stuff of really trying to say like, okay, what can I do to stay in it? I've been a part of it my whole life. And then, okay, this doesn't feel good. What do I need to do? Okay, but this does feel good. And so, okay, this is going to be the decision that I'm going to make. And then making that decision and then having to figure out what the fallout of that's going to be. What are my conversations going to look like? What are people going to think of me? But I went into like, I wouldn't even say meditation, but kind of like internal like visioning of stuff of just like pros and cons list kind of thing of what is my future going to look if I continue to try to stay in something that's hurting me more than it's helping me at this point. And so the con list of staying a part of it was a lot more than the pros. And so if there is something in your life, like career wise, relationship wise, anything of that sort, or even religion too, friendships, those kinds of things. If those are things that are impacting your life, go and kind of draw out a pro and cons list of it. Like in terms of a friendship, is this friendship serving me or is it not serving me? Do I go hang out with this person and by the end of the hangout, am I sitting here feeling like depleted and like my energy was drained? Or am I going and hanging out with this person and we're feeding and we're fueling each other and we're helping each other grow and have more fulfillment in life? And so if you are kind of on the fence of whether or not you feel like you're kind of stuck and you're like, I don't know, like, what are people going to think? Or even you're judging yourself. Like, I've been this person my entire life. How can I break out of this? How can I do this? Like you said, look at your life and think, what does my life look like if I continue down this path? Like, truly think about that. Truly visualize that. Because when you do that and you see the pro and the con, and you see that, okay, yeah, if I change these habits, or if I'm thinking about going down a different career and you feel like that's going to fuel you, then do it. Like, the only person that ultimately stops you from achieving things in life is yourself. By worrying about what you think about yourself and judging yourself of whether you're capable, and also the judgments and opinions of others.
Absolutely. It's what's prominent here and what she just said, along with what I've said in the past, is really look at what have you promised to transform, right? Look at yourself. Like, look truly within. Look yourself in the mirror. What is it that I've promised myself that I haven't done? Or what is it I've promised myself that I would change that I haven't? And whatever comes to mind, I also challenge you to do that in your relationships and your life in general. Really ask yourself that. Meditate on it. Think on it. Journal about it. Whatever is your go-to way of looking into things, do that. Because then you're going to create awareness. And awareness offers two things, either victimhood or victorhood. I've never said victorhood, but I am now. Why is that? Because when you see a challenge at hand, just like me, I'm not going to say I've never fallen into victimhood. I wish I could say I haven't. I don't judge myself for it. Luckily now I never fall into victimhood because I'm so aware of it, and I refuse to allow it to ever happen in my life anymore. But I have, because I'm human. And if you still fall into victimhood when you're listening to this, that's okay. What's not okay is to stay there. Because awareness offers the truth. Mm-hmm. And our minds will go to best case scenario or worst case scenario naturally. It's the way that we survived back in the day. It's why we still have anxiety about like going on stage and it feels like a lion's chasing us when that's really not the case. The beauty in this is that you can choose to be a victor in that moment. You can go to best case scenario. You can take accountability for what's taking place in your life. And when you take accountability, you're not just seeing the problem like the victim, you're creating a strategy to overcome it. But I challenge you to go deeper with, just like Maeghan highlighted, go through that pros and cons list. How is this serving me? How is this not serving me? After you go through that pros and cons list, what does your life look like in 5-10 years? How does that affect your family? How does that affect your relationship with your wife, your husband? How does that affect your kids? And when you really start to see this truth, it then becomes easier to let go. Most people that haven't let go of something haven't done that deep work to really see the pros and the cons and how it's serving or not serving you.
Mm-hmm. And the visualizing. When you visualize both the good and you visualize the bad, when you're like, okay, what does my life look like if I continue down this path of not growing, staying the same, not being true, not being authentic? Like, what does that look like? Versus, okay, what does it look like to be true, to be authentic, to follow my goals, to do all these amazing things that I'm capable of doing in life? Which one feels better? Assuming the one where you're reaching your goals and you're stepping into your power and you're living authentic and you're making an impact, that is going to be the one that when you look at those two lists sitting side by side, you're going to be like, okay, I got this. I can do it.
Now, the next thing I want to pivot into is, as we've really talked here about really grasping what's at hand, realizing the pain and the pleasures of transforming or staying the same. Before we go into the how to start to really transform when we become aware of it, I really want you all to really consider what would you regret mostly if you didn't change, if you didn't transform? Like fast forward in a year, fast forward in 10 years. What is that hard-hitting regret if you choose not to transform? I mean, again, we're halfway through this year. Maybe you're listening to this and you're 50 and you're over, if not close to being halfway through your life. What is it you'll regret if you don't transform?
That is something that's super powerful. And I know I'm sharing a lot of stories, but I feel like those are things that people can really relate to. But like for me personally, I think it would be awesome for you to share too. But something that both of us have changed in our lives, where if we didn't change that, what the outcome would have been.
So what we changed, but if we didn't, what the outcome would have been?
Yeah. So.
Well, I would have probably been dead, but.
That's so, you're like, I wouldn't even be here.
Or in a jail cell. Or just living a very depressed life.
No, but even like your thoughts and your values, like even after you made your transformation and stuff, like think about how much different your life would have been if you didn't get over the limiting beliefs.
But the one thing that comes to mind is this podcast. Like I had to after my own transformation, I went in, I started learning about psychology and emotions and how emotions play effect to action and how much thoughts play a way into it. Manifestation, energy. I was soaking it all in. And quite frankly, at a very young age, I knew a lot about life through experience and through books, to say the least, and mentors. And at that point, I was coaching people. I was working on it at the very least. It might have been just 1 or 2 at a time, but I was coaching people. I've done a couple events, things of that nature that really helped people transform. But this podcast, I mean, the podcasters I looked up to was Jay Shetty, Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Lewis Howes. It was these animals in this big pond of personal development. So the question that I often had before starting the podcast is, who the hell am I to start a podcast? Mm-hmm. Like it was more oftentimes than not that at my young age of 2018, 19-ish, give or take, when I started down my coaching journey, that more oftentimes than not, people didn't believe in me than believe in me. Rightfully so. I mean, I'm a 20-year-old coaching people in life. Like, what the hell? I get it, but I don't understand it. I just transformed my entire life at such a young age that some people never do in their entire life. So age, just a number. If I accomplish a result, I accomplish that result no matter what age it is. And if I create a transformation when I was 14 years old, life transformations that some people will never do in their entire life, I'm pretty damn sure that I am qualified to help anybody do the same. Plus all the book knowledge that I had. Mm-hmm. So in that moment, I was asking, who the hell am I to start a podcast? But if I listened to that, we wouldn't be here.
No, and look where we're at.
We wouldn't have look at the guests that we have. Look at the monetary success we have. Look at the personal success we have. I genuinely love myself. Mm-hmm. Well, and I love what I'm doing.
Like, and I know, like, I'm like more behind the scenes on the podcasts, but just being able to get to meet the guests and learn about people's lives and the amazing connections and like friendships that have been made, mostly not for me, but for you, from you having this podcast. It's been really cool to see you grow and see you just blossom. Like you when we first started the podcast versus you where we're at now, like you've really stepped into your skin. And I can tell that there's a different driving, there's a different fuel, there's more passion behind what you're doing now. Where I feel like now you have this, don't smile. Where I feel like now you have a very distinct path of what you want to do. You now know these are the goals I have. This is what I want to accomplish. This is how I want to impact people. This is my audience that I want to attract. Where before it was kind of, I just want to help you. I just want to put this message out. But now you're very honed in on what you want to achieve and how you want to do that. And so that is just something that I want to recognize.
I appreciate that, my love. But we wouldn't be here on this podcast right now if I didn't overcome that.
Mm-hmm.
And the Hormozy often says, fear is a mile wide, but an inch deep. I'll share an off-topic experience to that, right? Last year, we went up to Morgan, Utah, and we scheduled a time to go to a zoo with my sister, Bailey.
Oh, and it was the Sea Quest. It was an aquarium.
Don't go there.
No. I don't feel like it is ethical at all in any kind of way, but
point being
that's here nor there.
I have been terrified. Worst fear. I would rather jump out of a plane than see or even touch a snake. Period. Terrified. Don't know why, but terrified. You get the point. I'm somebody that likes to punch fear in the face. I like to grow. I like to push my limits. I will have not still jumped out of a plane. So that is the goal and it will happen. And I'm excited to share that when it comes time. That's not the story right now. The story right now is the fact that I wanted to punch fear in the face when it came to snakes. So I had a year goal of essentially in that year, at some point, I will hold a snake. And to say the least, we went to this. I was not expecting anything. This guide comes out with a snake offering people to hold it. And obviously, my wife, my sister. If you know anything about family, they will push you in the right direction.
It's called
hopefully
peer pressure.
I'm terrified. And for about a minute, I'm saying, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And then I said, absolutely not. Like I would not feel good about myself. I would not feel authentic. I would not feel accomplished if I did not do this. Like me leaving this aquarium, not holding the snake would be a choice of failure. So I chose the other way. And obviously I'm terrified, but I'm actually excited at this point. My fear has turned into excitement because now I'm choosing to do it. And as soon as I held that snake, I loved it. It was like, wait, I was scared of why? Hey, I'm still scared of snakes. I still got some work to do. But the point is that this is how life works. Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And when you jump into it, whether it's a plane, whether it's starting that business, whether it's transforming a bad habit, whatever it is, when you actually start, it feels so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you build that resiliency of like, okay, I'm fearing it. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and I have been somebody who has suffered from anxiety for a fat chunk of my life. And so fear and anxiety go hand in hand with each other. And that is something that I have had to consciously overcome. And anytime that a situation comes up where those emotions start to come up, it's breaking that down. And so if I'm scared of something, it's like, okay, why am I scared of this? Like you with snakes. It's like a snake is a freaking animal. I'm terrified of snakes too. Like if I had to pick up a snake, I would have to put a glove on because the texture of their scales is just, it's gross. That's the texture of the scales for me is why I don't like snakes. And then they have their little tongues that go out. It's gross. So I'm also scared of snakes. I can't even make fun of you for it. But something with fear, it's just like, why am I scared of this? What is actually, is it, in terms of, so I want to go into education this year. I want to build I'm still kind of figuring out details and stuff, but I know that I want to help hairstylists connect with their clientele better. and have stronger connections with their clients. And so with that, consultations are a huge part of a hair service appointment. And I've had so many clients come to me and they're like, you are like after the appointment, I've never had a hairstylist ask me so many questions. I've never gone and got my hair done and had somebody so in-depth and so thorough and care so much about me that you have done ever before. And they're like 50 years old. And so that is something that has set me apart in my career. And I want to have other hairstylists be able to lean into that. And so because I've had so much experience with it and I've been doing it for so long, I can now help people who are just starting out in their careers do better consultations with their clients. And so with that, I want to go into education and helping other stylists. And so my boss, it all connects, but my boss was hiring new girls. And so she's like, hey, can you help me with these interviews? I'm hiring new stylists. And I'm like, I don't know if I would be good at that. I was nervous. The whole point of this is I was nervous to interview these girls because I haven't ever sat one-on-one with somebody with having to ask them questions and having to have a conversation like that where I'm trying to fill out their vibe, but then also talk about the salon and then also talk about my experience of the salon and then, just have that kind of conversation and lead that conversation as well. And so I was really nervous about it and I was having a lot of self-doubts of my ability to do that. And I did my first interview and I was like, oh, this isn't actually that bad. I can go into it and just be myself and talk to them and that's it. And I know my stuff. Like I can answer questions if they ask them. And so coming to that realization of, oh, that's not that scary. Once you do it, it's not that scary. So education, my boss had given me the opportunity to do a presentation for the new girls that she hired. And so with that, I was doing stuff about consultations and picking apart pictures. Like a client comes in and brings you an inspiration picture. How do you pick that apart? So that was my core, what I was talking about in the presentation. And so I was scared to do the presentation, but again, I want to go into education. So in order to do education, I need to be able to talk to people. I need to be able to present. I need to be able to be engaging and all those things in those certain settings. And so why am I going to turn down opportunities to get me to this end goal? Out of fear. So fear is just kind of I think fear is just kind of a stupid, silly. It's not stupid. Fear feels really real and really scary. But when you actually break down, like when I was doing the interviews, why am I scared? Well, I'm kind of scared of like stuttering or not being this like leader person that people are going to look at me like, if she has no idea what she's talking about, like that's interviewing me. Okay. That was my fear behind doing the interviews. My fear behind doing the presentation was, what if I don't make sense? What if I'm not engaging with these, like the people? And what if they don't learn anything? What if they look at me and I'm telling them stuff and they're like, this is okay, thanks. Awesome. So a lot of fear in social situations specifically comes from the worry of what other people think. And so when you kind of break down the different fears and what you're feeling, then you can overcome fear a lot easier versus just, like you said, fear is a mile wide, but did you say an inch deep?
An inch deep.
And so when you think about it, fear feels like this huge, big thing. But then when you break it down, it's really only this little guy. It's only this little tiny thing. And it doesn't need to control your life. You can work through fear and you can break it down.
You can break it down, you can make it easy, and you can realize that it's not a big thing. It's actually very fun when you jump in because you actually get to go play in that big like thing that looks like a lake, but it's not, and you get to have a time of your life. With that, moral of the story is We're human. You're human. Wherever you're at, that's okay. But to stay where you're at is not. So if you fear something, jump in. Rip the Band-Aid off. Take the first step. So look within. What is it that you would regret if you don't transform? In a year, in 10 years, at the end of your life, if you don't transform that one thing or that 1 to 2, 3, 4 plus things, what will you regret? I'm not asking you to do a 180 or 360, whatever you want to call it. What is the one thing you can do today to be better? Because when you wake up tomorrow, which it will feel like, we're going to be January 1st again. And are you not going to change the things that you promised yourself you would do? Are you not going to chase those goals that you promised yourself would do? And do you really think that if you don't do it now, you're really going to do it next January 1st? My ass, you're going to go through maybe 5 or 10 years, you're going to have a life event, and then maybe you'll change. It's just a choice. You don't need to wait till December 31st or January 1st or in 5-10 years when a crazy life event happens, because then you're just going to regret it. Why not do it now?
And like I said earlier, you're the only one stopping yourself from achieving the things that you want to achieve in life. Nobody else is like handcuffing you, saying you can't do this or holding you at gunpoint. Ultimately, if you're not doing what you want to do and what your goals are in life and making the impact that you want to be making, that's up to you. So you have the choice to either choose that or to continue living the life that you are.
Absolutely. With that, let's share some examples of how they can actually start to take this at hand. First thing I want to do is this podcast. Like whatever you're struggling with, good chances are we've talked about it. So I'm going to highlight one. If you want to make a change, you don't need to wait. You don't need to wait 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. You can do it now, but you need to have a plan. So go create a vision board. Like truly actually look at your vision, not just your vision board, but at the end of your life, who is it exactly who you want to be? What do you want your relationship to look like? What do you want your life to look like in your finances, your business, your lifestyle, your material items? What is that thing? What is it you want to do when you're going to be okay to put the fork in the road and say, this is the end? Mm-hmm. How are you going to be 100% loving yourself at the end? From there, you can determine your next steps. If you're just determining your next steps with no long-term vision, you're going to quite frankly go in circles. You may start something and it'll find success, but it's more rare than not. And I like to live my life off of what sets me up for the most optimal success. And that's having a long-term vision. You don't need to know all the specifics, just a general direction, so that when you create your next 3 to 9 goals, you know that they're taking you towards that dream life. And then you can execute. How do you execute your vision board? Certainly go and listen to a podcast or go to my website, braidenbelnap.com, and I have a freebie on there that you can sign up to get a vision board workbook. Mm-hmm. The second thing is to align your schedule. Let's say that your goal is to lose 30 pounds this year. That was mine last year. Okay, that's a great goal. I think you both can agree with that, right, love?
Yeah, that's an awesome goal.
But it's just on your vision board. How are you going to execute? If your goal is to lose 30 pounds in the next 6 months from now, or the next 5 months, actually, we're at the end of June here. How are you going to actually make that happen? Are you going to work out 5 times a week? When are you going to eat? Are you going to eat 3 times a day? Are you going to eat 2 times a day? When are you okay with eating? Schedule the activity. Like the result is great. Like you can get there, but what needs to happen is you need to schedule your behaviors. Having this conceptual idea that I'm going to work out 5 times a day, just whenever I have time in your day, you're never going to have time. You need to actually schedule. I'm going to work out 5 times a week. This is when. And I'm going to eat at this time for breakfast, this time for lunch, this time for dinner. and I'm going to meal prep on Sunday for my lunches to make it easy. Like whatever it needs to do, you need to go schedule that behavior. Because then the night before you schedule your next day, and then you just wake up and you execute your day, and naturally you become who you're destined to be, and you do the things you're destined to do.
Mm-hmm. And you ultimately, again, I sound like a broken record, but you're ultimately the one who's not keeping you from doing this stuff. So by not having a schedule, you are keeping yourself from achieving stuff.
Absolutely. And the truth is, like, that is a fundamental truth. So we're going to leave you there with that, unless Maeghan has anything to add.
No, I love that.
It's very clear. Have a long-term vision. What are your next 3 to 9 goals? Get that on a vision board. Again, go to braidenbelnap.com and grab that freebie to have that direction. And then have a schedule that aligns with that. Mm-hmm. And if you do just those 3 things, which are very simple, your life will be transformed at the end of this year more than you could ever begin to imagine.
Yeah. And they're really simple things to implement in your life too. I don't feel like any of those things. Braiden's great because he's done this stuff forever. Like since we met, he's always done this. And I've recently started implementing a schedule and a vision board and a life vision into my life. And I feel so much more like honed in. Or
can you say that again?
I'm not going to say it again. Yeah, you can listen to it on repeat.
This is bad marriage advice.
This is currently getting recorded.
I should probably just shut up here.
I don't even need to repeat it because you just heard it out of my mouth. And if you want to hear it again, just watch this back. You can just keep replaying it over and over again.
I'll sleep really well. Put on like a white noise.
It's just me saying, Braiden's right. He knows everything. He's so smart.
I'm glad you said that too.
Which all of those are true. But he was like, dude, like I was really struggling with the schedule, with vision board, with goals of what I wanted to do. Like kind of was going through this crisis of internal, like I don't know what I want to do with my life. Like we're thinking about kids next year. We have all these other things happening. And I'm like, I need to really dial in on what I want to do. And so he's been saying for years, vision board, life vision, schedule. And I've done all of those. And I can genuinely say that they work, that they help. And so it's crazy, but those 3 things, when you implement them, it's life-changing. So that's what I have to add. If I could be a billboard for those 3 things, I would, because they're awesome.
Amazing. With that in mind, thank you so much again for joining the Journey to Authenticity podcast today. If you liked what both myself and Maeghan had to say, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. This, of course, helps us to be better to show up for you. But the most opportunity that I have is it helps me get the most interesting, highly qualified guests to help you transform your life. But why I have you here, one last thing that I would truly want to offer you guys, and that's simply a gift coaching session from me. If you're really ready to do what we talked about today, look within, create a plan to overcome it, execute, build that schedule, that vision for yourself and that vision board, then go to braidenbelnap.com or the link below, fill out the form, and we'll jump into a coaching conversation to get you on the right trajectory to life. With that in mind, have a good rest of your day, everybody.